So most of you have probably seen that Magic Motorsport on the Flex tuning tool have released a unlock procedure for these new June 2020 onwards MD1 ECUs that have got the particular processor in that this MD1CS003 has. So this TC298 tri-core, they can now be glitched in boot mode with Flex to unlock them. Then they can be read and written in bench, like the earlier ECUs that weren't locked. These ECUs have been the bane of everybody's life for a long time, and there is now a solution that doesn't involve mailing them away anywhere. There's no mail and unlock here. You can do it all on the tool. You do need the boot protocols for Flex to be able to do this, and also it's not the nicest procedure in the world. There's a very small resistor here that needs removing from the board, which I've seen online some people have been struggling with in terms of losing it mainly, I think, because that does need to be refitted before it goes back into the vehicle. I've seen on some of the protocols, this one's an MD1CS003 Peugeot Citroën. I have seen a few where there's more than one resistor that gets lifted. So yeah, what we're going to do today is go through glitching this MD1CS003 and see how we get on. It's something that I've never done before, so we're on this learning curve together. This is our first one. We've bought this ECU from eBay for 30 quid as a 2025 scrap ECU. The idea is we can have a go, see how we get on before we start offering this service to customers and installers, and yeah, we can just try and test it and see how we go. What you will notice as part of this protocol is a lot of wires have to be connected to that E-connector on Flex. If you look on the screen, there is 9 connections that then all go to E1 on the board, which is the glitch pin. So I am currently, because we don't have anything that would do that, going through and I'm butchering an old K-tag wiring harness. This is actually a chip tuning shop K-tag loom that, given KES 3 is now a thing and these have all been traded in, we're never going to use this again. So it seems like nice quality cable to make these connectors. So I'm currently putting ferrules on the end of all of these that will fit nicely into here. I've got a fair few of them here. Here's another one I've done. And once I have 9 of these together, we'll just strip the end of this one off. I will then bind them all together and solder them all together with the solder station here, and just make a nice connection. I've now lost the ferrules. So yeah, I'm just taking these little ferrule connectors, sticking them on the end, crimping them on so we get a good connection. I'm going to make 9 of these, and once we have 9 of these, I will bind them all together and then probably use something like this alligator clip to be able to connect to the pin that's going on the board. I haven't really decided yet, so yeah, I'm going to do that, and then once that's ready, we will open the ECU and start seeing what is involved with getting this resistor off. So now I have a loom made up, which goes to all the different pins on the Flex box. It goes to, I decided in the end not to do any soldering. I bound them all together and put them into this ferrule, and everything seems nice and tight. And then I'm going to crocodile clip over that. This is actually a cable from KES 3, which is a bullet on one end to go into the KES 3 breakout, and then a crocodile clip is what's usually used for the CNF pin, but we're going to use it because it will fit perfectly in the top piece of this Magic Motorsport frame, and then we hopefully have a good enough connection to glitch this microcontroller. So what we have next is MD1CS003 Peugeot Citroën with the eBay Breakers Yard label on the back. This is a July 2025 ECU, so we'll see very much in the world of previously locked until this glitch protocol came out. So firstly, we're going to need to open this. For anybody that hasn't opened an ECU like this before, then this will also serve as a control module opening technique sort of video. I'm going to have to pause briefly in a moment because I don't actually have any of the tools to open this here. I am completely unprepared as usual. But essentially what we're going to do is take out the Torx 15s, of which there are 4. We'll stick them in the lid of this so they don't go missing. Stick that in front of the microphone there. So we're going to take these 4 Torxes out. Now this lid at this point is not going to just fall off. There's 2 things that are going to be holding this lid on. The first is there is a bead of silicone which is quite tough that goes around the outside, and it goes into this sort of raised track that you can see here. And then there is also some thermal compound bonding the circuit board to the case of the ECU, which is what this flat bit here is. So this will have like white thermal paste, thermal compound, like you would see on the processor of a computer with, you know, underneath the heatsink. If you've ever built a PC or taken a PC processor heatsink off, you'll know what that's like. And that on these sets like concrete once it's been on there and heat cycled a bit, and it really binds this to the board. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and get some little pry bars which we can use to start levering this, and also some brake cleaner because it softens the glue but evaporates before we do anything, so it doesn't cause any board damage. If you're on a really cold day, a heat gun or heat from your solder station around the bead can help make the glue softer as well. But it's in the middle of summer. This is not exactly cold. It's just come from the workshop. Yes, it's cooler in here because the aircon's on, but it's mid-20s still. So that will be fine to just pry open, hopefully. So yeah, I will be back in a moment with some tools and we'll get this open. Okay, so what I have here is a pair of snap-on little angled pry bars, which are fantastic for levering, can of brake and clutch cleaner, and yeah, that's about it. Oh, and a cup of coffee. So, firstly, let's take these off my head. Firstly, we are going to just start to put a little bit of brake cleaner around the edge, just to start to soak into the glue. And then what I'm going to do, let's bring the microphone over here, is just start to lever around the edge. And I'm going to start furthest away, so we've got the most leverage, furthest away from this heatsink compound. I'll just start to make my way around, and you probably won't hear it on the video, but there will be starting to be sort of a little crackling noise as the glue starts to give up being glue. We'll make our way around, and as we've got a little opening in there, we'll just inject a little bit more brake cleaner. The trick with this is not to rush it, because that's how you slip and start to damage the ECU. Obviously, everybody's got their own way of opening things. Everybody's got their own style. I'm sure there's people watching this going, oh no, don't do it like that. But whatever works for you, there is no wrong way as long as you're not hurting the ECU. So we will keep working around gently. There's some force required on this, because otherwise you're never going to get in. But we will just keep working our way around the edge, applying some force, spraying some brake cleaner as we go to soften the glue. And we should eventually make our way in there. I'm just walking these along one after the other, so just walking these along, which is adding tension to the glue. As I walk them down here, I can hear this cracking. It won't, the first pass, it's not gonna let go, but we can keep walking it through and spraying as we go. Obviously, we've never been able to do anything with these other than via bench mode. So I've never opened one of these before, and it does seem a reasonably straightforward Bosch case, so I don't foresee any issues. We'll just start walking around this way. You can see we are starting to get this open. It can also be a trick where some of the glue is quite stubborn, is to just use a knife and very carefully just break the bead of the glue. That can help you as well. Once you've got enough leverage from making it soft with the brake cleaner, just breaking it with a knife can help you along. You can see that's taken us a lot further along. And once we've got that broken bit, we can keep working. Spray a bit more in here. You can see the glue's still there. Nice, it sprays back at you. Keep walking these along here. Obviously, as we get to the other side, it will get stiffer because as well as the glue around the outside, obviously this is also bonded to the board, which is why I've started this end first. But once we've got most of it released, we will be able to just use a bit of leverage and slowly prise it away from the board. So yeah, we'll keep going with this. I'm going to walk back around this side again. Let's find somewhere we can hold that open while we recover this one. So yeah, we'll walk back around this way. Slow and steady wins the race with this. You're not going to win any prizes for doing it really quickly, but you are going to have an unhappy customer if you've knocked a load of components off the board. So take your time. Obviously, for those of you without boot protocols that don't want to upgrade, we have had it confirmed by the tool manufacturer that we can unlock these for you here in the office, and then the bench protocol after the unlock will work for you. So there is always the option that if you're not comfortable doing this, then you can send it to us. We'll do the unlock, which will obviously be quicker than unlocks that go overseas, and then we'll send the ECU back to you, or you can come and collect it depending on how far away you are, and then you will have a nicely unlocked ECU. So that is a service we're going to offer. I'm going to keep working my way around here, and given this is very boring to watch, I will probably speed this video up a little bit and get to the point where this ECU is open. There we go. Get in. So that is the ECU. The resistor that we're going to remove is somewhere near the top there. So yeah, I'm going to finish my coffee, have a look at this board, and yeah, we'll have a go at glitching this. Okay, so now the ECU's out, I'm going to lift the resistor here. Now, it's hard to see on this video, but I will put a photo on the screen. This tiny little resistor here, I'm going to use hot air on my tweezers to lift this off the board. So I'm just going to go nice and gently. First of all, I'm going to hold the resistor. I'm going to put hot air above it. And I'm just going to wait until I feel that getting loose before I lift it. So obviously we don't want to damage the board. And there we go. That has now come off the board. Easy as that. Putting it on is going to be more fun, but it is a microscopic little thing. So I will put it into the ECU lid, and then I will show you with a photo on the screen what this looks like. Okay, so now we have that resistor off, which is on the screen again. That's from the Flex user manual. To the left of where that was, there is a little contact point as a hole on the circuit board, which is where E1 is going to connect to. So I have this pin connected through the top bench of this frame here that goes to the loom that we made earlier. And then what we're going to need is to pin the rest of the ECU out as per the connector manual, and then we should be able to start glitching. Okay, so we've got the ECU wired up now to flex box with the normal cables. We've got this that we made earlier connected up via this frame to the pin near where we took the resistor off that Magic Motorsport wanted us to remove. So now we're going to click connect and see what happens. Exciting stuff. First go. So the maximum time of the glitch is 25 minutes, it says there in the console. Glitching in process. So we will see how quickly this happens. If this takes any length of time, then we'll pause this, speed it up, come back again. Okay, so we've had to move location because we needed the other table for a training session and I needed to revisit this. But essentially, I left it doing the glitch and it didn't actually work. Checked all the connections, wasn't helpful at all. We tried multiple times off camera, no luck. And then we got advised by MMS support to put 5 ohms of resistance between the connections from the E adapter to the boot pad or glitch port. So we only had 10 ohm resistors, so we've paralleled up 2 10 ohm resistors, which obviously gives us 5 ohms of resistance. They are in line. So what we have here is the glitch thing we made earlier. Then we have a cable going up to here, through the 2 resistors, and then down to the glitch pin. So now I'm hoping that this is going to work. So we're going to click connect again and see what happens. Much better. Straight in with the resistance. So that is clearly the answer. If you're struggling with the glitching, yeah, put 5 ohms or 2 10 ohms in parallel, whatever you need to make up 5 ohms of resistance on that E-port adapter, and we seem to be in. So I'm going to hit unlock and we will see what happens. So what's it saying to me? It's saying interrupting the unlock process will damage irreversibly the control unit. Be sure not to move the connection cables. Do you want to proceed? We will say yes. Let's see what happens now. Okay, so it's finished doing whatever it was doing to prepare the patch, and now it says that it is writing to the internal flash. So it's obviously writing the unlock patch that it created. So it's currently, it says erasing, so we'll see how it gets on. So we seem to have an erasing error, but it does seem to still be trying again. Okay, so that has just written the unlock, as you saw quite quickly. It actually failed the first time. If I scroll back through the console, you will see that it tried and tried and tried. Let's have a look. It tried and tried and tried to ignore all this. This was something else. But it tried erasing sector 1, failed, erasing, and then it failed. So we spoke to Marco at Magic Motorsport again, who make this tool. Shout out to him for a lot of help he's given us throughout our testing of this. And he said as much as the glitch might work with the 5 ohms, sometimes there can be problems with erasing, and to try 3.3 ohms instead. So we swapped out those 2 for a single 3.3 ohm resistor, and it seems to have done the unlock. So now we're going to connect again, and hopefully we'll be able to read the ECU. Yeah, so your unit is unlocked. Please proceed with the bench protocol. Now, the instruction manuals did say that before you use it on the bench, that you need to put the resistor back in place. So our next thing is going to be to put that resistor back on the board. Okay, so the resistor is back on the board.
you can probably see that there. I've also, and I'll put a photo up of this, checked between the two pads either side of the resistor to confirm that the resistor's seated properly and has a good connection both sides. And we are now wired up in bench mode, and we're going to use the bench protocol for the locked ECUs. I'll click connect, and this should be able to work in bench mode. There we go, ECU unlock, connecting, waiting for reply from server. See how long it takes to connect, and if it does indeed connect. Here it goes. So we will do a full backup, and there it is reading. Okay, so there we go. MD1CS003 from Peugeot Citroën, glitched, unlocked, and then read on the bench. If you're not comfortable doing this yourself, then we will be offering an unlock service here in the office, where you'll be able to send the ECU in and we will do the unlock for you. And then it'll be benchable basically when you get it back, and you can submit it to the file servers as normal. So yeah, I hope some of that was of interest. The main takeaways for me are the resistance that you need to make the glitch work, at least on this ECU, turns out to be 3.3 ohms. It will glitch at 5 ohms, but then it won't read. 3.3 ohms allowed for the reading as well. And yeah, essentially just make good connections and yeah, have a steady hand. So yeah, get in touch if you need any assistance. Remember, you will need a Flex full either master or slave subscription or protocol pack to be able to do this. It's not in the normal boot protocols, not the boot glitch. So again, if you need to upgrade, give us a shout. I'll see you on the next video.